I am socially distanced. Socially distanced today.
Yes, and also emotionally distanced and spiritually distanced.
I've always been that way. That's something I've always brought to the table. Every day is a new day. It's it's literally a crazy day. I can't talk to anybody without them saying, hey, how weird is this? But weird is the new normal. That's the beauty of it all.
Yeah, everything about this is weird, and I think that, like everyone, I keep going through waves of, like, a strange false confidence, like, hey, this is weird, but, we're figuring it out, we're making it happen, to, like, the next minute being like, what the fuck is this world? What have I brought my child into?
Yeah, you have to realize that both those things are absolutely true.
Yes.
A friend of mine wrote to me yesterday, that not only is it scary, but he feels sad about it all. And then I wrote back to him, yeah, but, in history, every great society that we love and we study had to overcome something really, really big. And this is ours. You know what I mean? So we have to find the positive in all this kind of stuff, when you start to see now how connected we are. You know what I mean? Like, literally, we understand just how connected that we are.
Yes, and, I'm trying to focus on the fact that, yes, I'm able to not only connect with friends and family, but, like, how cool is it that I'm here, socially distancing in Brooklyn, able to speak to you at your home in Manhattan. We've got Vito at the studios, and, and I love being able to still be able to talk to everybody.
Yeah, and people, everywhere around 2 different countries, 844 Rock God, 844 Rock God. But overall, I'm going to tell you the truth. This whole self-quarantine thing, I'm a natural, literally a natural at it.
Yeah,
I self-quarantine.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I've noticed that there are some people who, like, this is their natural habitat. They would prefer to stay home and, like, cuddle up on the couch and watch a movie. But I have other friends who enjoy sports, outdoor activities, gym. They're not doing so well.
It's the time of the lazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is my people's time. I've always self-quarantined during people's weddings, dinner parties. I'm more likely to be self-quarantining somewhere and go, I don't really want to go today. Why don't you bring me back a plate? You know what I mean? Just load up a plate for me and bring me back. And a little piece of wedding cake if you can.
Yeah. It makes me think of, I had a great-grandfather who would just always have to go feed the dogs at any time. How many meals do these dogs eat a day? I don't know. But I think he was always like, get me out of the social engagements.
I have to tell you this. You find out pretty quickly for the people that are coupled up who's the annoying one and who's not the annoying one. And
Yes.
in my case, I'm very lucky. I have a very nice person to self-quarantine. From her point of view, though, it's got to be a pain in the ass. It's literally got to be the worst. And I really think if you have to pick which person to be the asshole. You know what I mean? When you got a sweetheart
Yes.
and an asshole, be the asshole. Now, I don't know what you do when you have 2 assholes. I don't know how that works out. I guess murder-suicide is all I can figure.
I'm thinking, like, how, like, there's positives, but then how many divorces will come of this, where they're going to be locked in houses together for weeks, and they're like, this is never going to work out.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you something. Even if you get divorced or separated, you still have to live together. You know what I mean? You still have to stay there. You're quarantined. Now, do you ever do this? Do you look at people and try to decide which one of them you'd rather be quarantined with? Like I
Yes.
was thinking about Kelly Ripa and Ryan Seacrest, and I'm like, which one, if I had to be quarantined with, would? And I was literally fighting back and forth
Oh,
on
God.
it because you
Both
got
of
a
those
feeling that.
Yeah. Both of those are so rough to me. And like for very different reasons.
Yeah, of course. Now, Ryan seems like he's the nice one, but then he also probably gets pretty annoying, pretty needy.
Yeah.
Kelly is definitely the fun one, but she looks like she just has some dark moods too. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you might have to say, honey, did you take your pills? You know what I mean? Maybe it would be better if you took your pills and had some wine and passed out.
I also imagine that she would be very controlling. You know what I mean? Like she would try to
Right.
micromanage our quarantine.
Like feeling like you weren't clean enough or you left
Yeah.
something behind somewhere. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a
Oh
tough
my
one to
God.
pick.
I might have to go with Seacrest out.
I have a feeling that he would just talk about his weight a lot since he was a fat baby. You know what I mean? I mean, literally, fat babies are so much more annoying than fat adults because they have no acceptance.
People don't let that go either. You know what I mean?
No.
If they have any fatness in their past, they're like fat
Yeah.
forever. You're like fat in your heart.
And then they say it to you like you don't understand. When I was younger, I was fat. So what? Stop it.
Let it go. Frozen style.
I pick two for me to choose from, Gil.
Okay, so I'm going to call this your quarantine mate. Who
Yeah.
do you choose as your quarantine mate? Let's go Matt Damon or Ben Affleck.
I think this is a fairly easy one. I'm gonna have to go Matt Damon. Seems like he's a little easier to get along with. And now, and by the way, this is only if drinking or not drinking. Drinking, definitely. I'm gonna pick Ben, but not drinking, Matt.
I
What
think
about you on that?
Matt has a clearer head. I think he has a better choice. And for some reason, because maybe it's his work with conserving water, I just feel like he's already, he's going to have more global perspective on this thing, and he and
Yeah,
I
but I
can
get
have a conversation.
I get thirsty, Matt. You mind if I have a little drink of water? I'm not wasting it. I'm literally drinking. I'm supposed to
problem
drink
is-
8 glasses a day. I'm having 5.
The problem is he's going to be scolding you also every time you wash your hands.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm-
That's
And I'm
true.
doing so much hand washing.
All right, so you made that a little more annoying than I thought it was. Now I think I'm going with, hey, who gives a shit, Ben Affleck? You know what I mean?
I see the reason I stick with Matt is like I feel like we are gonna have to discuss like his failed marriage at length, and he just seems like he'll get into that stuff and he'll be hitting the sauce. It'll be rough, I think.
Look, I've been to meetings. I understand. They can be very, very entertaining. I'll be just like, hey, man, own it. It's you. It's you, Ben Affleck. Actually, I'm going to tell you the truth. If I had to pick between Ben Affleck and his wife, what was her name? Jennifer Garner?
Yes.
I pick Ben Affleck. I think that Jennifer Garner would be a real stick in the mud.
Yeah, I don't know why, but she has maintained that reputation for a long time. Like people are like, "There's no reason," but I just don't think I'd enjoy her company.
Yeah, I saw her doing a commercial and she annoyed me. And she wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just like, I don't know. I don't know. Now, here's the thing. If you want to play quarantine, you got to take sex off the table because that's cheating. You know what I mean? Because
Oh,
naturally, everybody would just pick somebody that they would want to have sex with. But that's not what we're talking about here.
That's not the point.
You know? Yeah, that's not the point at all. All right, you got another two?
Yes, I do. And this again, well, I'll reiterate: take sex off the table. Who's your quarantine mate? Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera?
Oh, Jesus Christ. This is a nightmare.
It's really bad.
This is a nightmare. I think give me crazy Christy. Give me crazy Britney Spears.
Yeah. There's a lot of entertainment there, but I'm gonna go Christina because I think Christina's more of the diva personality, but I'm afraid of how unhinged Britney is.
I kind of like Unhinged though. You know what I mean? And I don't want to
Yeah.
use the term crazy pussy. This is a whole new time. Oh, speaking of which, though, one of the good things that's come out of this, I don't think we have to be as woke as we used to be.
Oh yeah, that's off the table.
I saw Chris DiStefano talking about that. He said when comedy comes back and everybody starts going out again, no one is going to like woke people. We're going to know how bad life can get, so we need to be unwoke. I was just laughing, going, I don't know whether people are going
Not
to stop
sure.
being sensitive. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just afraid that since it'll only embolden cancel culture, it won't even seem like a big deal. Like you
Yeah.
cancel somebody because they said something inappropriate. They're like, who cares? The whole world was canceled last year.
Do 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 do. Love It or Shove It also wrote to us that tweeted to us. I literally had to change nothing about my introverted life during this period of social distancing. Um, here's the funny thing. I saw somebody that had sent out a thing. I guess this is a meme going around, but could introverted people please check on their extroverted friends to see if they're okay? You know how like when you're kind of a shut in, people always call you, "How you doing, man? You seem to be,
Right.
seem to be staying out of things. That's always been a problem for you. You're not using again, are you?"
Yeah, they're the people who can't handle this. I have friends who are like, I'm going crazy. I think like I might go for a run. It's just like, just stay in. Just relax.
Yeah.
Just put on a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's you. The people who were addicted to their gym membership is now a negative thing after that being such a positive. Like I'm addicted to getting up at 4 a.m. and doing squats and running around. Now people are like, stop.
Just stop.
I saw some kind of expensive mirror that you could be working out in the mirror while you see the guy running your virtual gym.
Oh, yeah. I remember the first time I saw that commercial, I thought that it was a parody. I thought, like, is this like an SNL parody commercial? But they're
Yeah.
real, apparently. And yeah, I mean, I think between that and Peloton, they've got to be doing pretty well. Like this week, people are actually considering buying those things.
Yeah, just to have something to do, you know? That's the thing. Let's all right, by the way, speaking of woke or not, apparently the press is trying to find out which White House official is calling this the Kung flu. And I'm just finding this out now. I'd never heard that term for this yet because Trump had been calling it the China flu or whatever. And
Yeah.
now Kung flu comes up. So,
Not good.
I got to say, I'm not real sure if we're going to get less woke as this thing goes along.
Right. It's not
all
really
right,
looking that way.
give us another choice of quarantine mates. Oh, I'm going to give one to you first, Gail. And you got to
Okay.
be totally honest about this. Vito or Chris Stanley?
Ooh, this is really tricky. Okay, so Vito, I think, probably has more trouble with the social distancing, more anxious because he, likes to be around his friends. Chris, it's this his natural state, but Chris also feel like he got more anxious first. Oh my God. I think this is crazy, but I think I'm going to go Chris Stanley.
Really?
I think that Chris is going to hunker down more. Vito's at Sirius XM Studios right now like a nut.
Yeah, I know he is. I will say this, though. I would have 100% said Chris until I had a lovely trip to L.A. with Vito. And I saw just how supportive and there for you that he is. Also, the thing I love about him, he's willing to finish your food. And you know what I mean? I always like that in a friend. Like, I can't eat the rest of this. You want to eat it? Yes.
There's
And then,
a
it would
real,
be gone seconds later.
there's a real intimacy of that. Like a friend who
Yeah.
will pick up, you're like, oh, you're not going to eat that? Let me grab it.
Love it. I love that. Vito,
Yes.
who do you think would be easier, you or Chris?
I mean, I get Gail's point that Chris is like Mr. Social anxiety, wants to be by himself and not be bothered with anybody. But if you're looking for the long haul, I think I'm your ideal candidate because I do know when to just fucking chill out and not bother you, as you saw in LA, Ron. And I also will keep you active in some ways, like when you want somebody to talk to and pal around with, I'm there. Chris, you will never have that option. It will be 100% stay away from him the entire time.
By the way, do you see what a great job he does of making his point? He could win The Bachelor like that. You know what I mean?
Like,
and I don't know whether you know that's... Yeah, go ahead, Gail.
He just made me rethink my answer. And that, to me, that's interesting. Like, I had a gut reaction, and now I'm questioning myself.
I'm going to give you 2 reasons to vote for Vito right now. A, I'm in a book club with him, and we're having a ball with him. B, he and I got in a conversation about Elvis movies, and he went deep. Why? Because he and his mom would rent an Elvis movie every week and sit and laugh at how weird and bad it was and also enjoy it at the same time. You're like a friend that you go, oh, I didn't know you had that thing going on. But Chris, he'll have a thought and not even share it with you.
Yeah, that's true.
Vito,
the way he is with his drinking should have been an indicator. When he goes very inside and he's just like pondering life and he's not being social and fun. That's probably a good indicator how he'll be.
Also, I know this from travel. Sometimes he does that when he's not drinking. Thank you. Vito, do we got Chris on the line?
Yes, we do. Chris, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I'm right here. I've heard this entire conversation.
And you agree?
No, I don't agree. I do not agree. I'm a much better hunkered down. I'm a much better quarantine mate because A, I'm handy. B, you know that I'm not going to fucking break the quarantine. I am not going to fucking go out there and fucking infect anyone. All right? I'm the guy to beat.
But here's the thing. You are handy, Chris, but you're also handsy. And we've seen that.
Yep.
Time and time again.
That's only when I'm blacked out. And there's not enough alcohol to go around to black me out right now, Ron.
All right. Now, I'm gonna pitch one to you two that comes to us from Twitter for Quarantine Mate, and this is from David Morris. So you guys ready for this? Because this is a hard one. Dennis Falcone or Jeffrey Gurian?
Oh my God!
This is the hardest one in history. First of all, can I just take Chris? Now that this is coming up, can I take both Chris and Vito?
Oh my God. This is so hard. Like, why would we have one this difficult?
They're both insane.
I'm going to start it off, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. I feel like just because I know that he has the medical background, I'm going to go Jeffrey, because I also don't think I can handle how off topic sometimes the comments and the factoids that you get from Dennis Falcone are. I don't think I could take that.
Here's the difficult thing here. Neither one of them listens. They only talk, but they do not listen even slightly. Believe me, I just had an interview where Jeffrey interviewed me. I don't think he listened to a single answer I had. The only time that he would come to life was when I would ask him a question. And then suddenly he was, ready to talk. I'm going to kill which either one of them is. I'm going to literally kill them, and probably within the first day. Before lunch, I would murder. It's so hard. This is going to be annoying, but I'm going to probably say Gurian because at least he has a past. You know what I mean? At least he's met people and done things and partied, and you know what I mean? Dennis has just made up lists of songs that he would play on the weekend or at weddings, and
I
never
think-
good music.
Yeah, the issue is going to be how much can I listen to the Cabin Fever Reliever weekend? I mean,
Right.
that's going to be the whole quarantine.
Oh my God. Here's the thing also about Dennis. Like if you pick a band, let's say the Allman Brothers, he knows who they are, but he only knows one song, Rambling Man, because that's the only one that was a fucking AM radio hit.
Right.
Who did you pick, Gail?
I picked Jeffrey Gurian as my quarantine mate.
If I want Jeffrey Gurian and Chris, I'd probably still picking Gurian.
I'm much more fun than Jeffrey Gurian. And I'm less annoying, I think. I'm pretty sure I'm less annoying.
You're angrier, though. Plus, here's the thing. We don't know how hard you hit, but we know that Gurian could never hurt us under any circumstances. Like, if I got even bored, I might even just go like this. Punch me in the face, Gurian. Go ahead.
He'd collapse if he threw a punch.
All right, Chris Stanley, let's see if you can give us one.
Okay, what about for your quarantine mate, Luke or Owen Wilson?
Ooh.
Wow. And sex is off the table?
Sex is off
the table.
No, you know what? I'm kind of interesting, and I'll say this: sex is on the table, my friends.
Okay, great.
Sex is on the table for this one.
Then I know who I'm taking.
Really? Who are you taking, Chris?
Give me the stallion, Owen Wilson.
I'm going to disagree 100% right there.
Really?
I think Luke would be a more attentive lover. I think that that Owen would be the type to be like, am I doing this right?
Huh.
You know what I mean?
When we put sex back on the table, it changed my answer, and my answer is Luke Wilson for a couple reasons. But one, sex is on the table. Two, I also feel like he could be like my straight man. You know what I mean? Like I feel like Owen would be too funny. You know what I mean? Like he would be like stealing all the jokes.
Yeah, and I'm always annoyed by a guy who's funny when they don't mean to be. You know what I mean? That gift, and Owen has that gift. He never says something witty. He says something so peculiar that you laugh.
Right.
All right, sex off the table. I'm still taking Luke.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't even think it's close. I think Owen's going to be annoying as shit.
I feel like he's the writer of the two, and like he might be more thoughtful, and I kind of like that. He's more fun than Luke. At least it seems so.
I think you're wrong. I think Luke is a deep well. Okay.
Yeah. And this whole thing that Owen is a writer. Oh, really? How much did you write without Wes Anderson? You know what I mean? I think if anything, he tags. You know what I mean? But I don't think he could come up with a concept that makes the least amount of sense.
I agree with that.
I'm proud to sit here and fly the Luke Wilson flag. I wish, I should have been on this for years. All right, these are good. So far, Vito, Jeffrey Gurian, and Luke Wilson.
Yeah, you're coming
These
up
are
with a whole
upset
team.
specials. These are upset specials. Most people's entire bracket is destroyed right now.
Okay, I have another one for you guys.
Yeah.
Who do you choose as your quarantine mate? George or Kramer?
Oh, God, this is the hardest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Fuck.
God, they're both so fucking annoying.
Yes. There's annoying. There's I don't trust either one of them in this circumstance.
I think I'm leaning towards one. I think Kramer would be the better quarantine mate because he's more resourceful than George. George, I think, has a tendency to just fall apart and freak out. And Kramer might just be a more useful person to have around.
Yeah, but
I mean,
he also seems like he would be just like on the edge. Like you couldn't contain him. You know what I mean? Like
And also, whatever he did for you was not going to be done right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't trust him to do laundry. This is fucking terrible.
The issue is, does George obviously would be able to settle in and hunker down, but the complaining about every little thing, that's going to really get to me.
Yeah, I couldn't take that either. All right, just for that reason, I'm taking fucking Kramer.
Nice.
Yeah, Kramer.
Not for what you say. Not for what you say, because he's going to probably be a little more fun when you're silly. And, yeah, that shit that George does, it's just too much. Neither one of them worked again after Seinfeld. No one could put up with those two.
No. I mean, my choice is Kramer, but it's really just an anti-George pick.
Yeah, sure. I get that.
Yeah.
All right, you guys know that video that I put up and was dancing around to?
Yes.
Now, this surprises me. A lot of people are asking me what that song, but some people are even asking me what group. Now, that was shocking to me, except for when I went in to look on this. This did not even make the... obviously, it's a Jay Giles band, but So Sharp did not make the Essentials, the Next Steps, or even Deep Cuts. I had to go all the way to YouTube to pick up this song.
When I heard it, I figured out who was singing it, but it's definitely not a song. I don't think it's a song I had heard before. And by the way, if you want to check it out, it is on our stories, and that's at Bennington SXM on Instagram.
I think we went up and even put it on the front, but the song is So Sharp, Vito. Now I got to tell you, I've been listening to more music than I had in a while. The Jay Giles band, particularly the live albums, is a nice, comforting, boogie-ass place to go. Are they American Rolling Stones? No, they're different, okay? They're different than just being someone of the Rolling Stones. Go to Black Crowes if you want to grab that for yourself. The Jay Giles band out of Boston. This is a song, apparently very, very deep cuts. It's up on the front of our Instagram now, too, Gail.
Okay, good.
This is, we'll just play a little bit of this. This is So Sharp.
I used to have my fun long time ago. A little bit of luxury, pretty women surrounding me. Listen, there came a woman, all ragged and beat up. She whooped it on me, yes she did. She really made a mess of me. She's so sharp. She's so sharp. Sharper than me. She's sharper than you. Hey, all of you fellas
All right.
think you're sharp.
Now, I don't know where you were, but you were dancing along with that song. And guess what? Dancing better than you actually can. That's the thing that I love about the Jay Giles band. I've never been to a Jay Giles show. Looked over at someone and thought to myself, they're dancing incorrectly. It can't happen, Gail. Everybody dances better than they can dance when listening to the Boston Bad Boys, the Jay Giles band. I was curious about this with you guys. Is there any music that you've been listening to during these days of quarantine?
Yeah, for me,
yeah.
what I have been listening to is an album that just came out. I believe it just came out last month. And I feel like for some reason I'm honing in on this because I'm like, I want to believe there's a future out there. Like, I want to believe we're going to still get to listen to new music. You know what I mean? Like, there's a hope for future. And that's this band Tennis. I think this is like their 4th or 5th album. And they're actually a husband and wife band duo, which I always think that that's great when that happens.
Self-quarantined.
Yeah, perfect. The album is called Swimmer, but we should listen to the first track off the album called I'll Haunt You. And I've been going deep with this album.
As the sun slips over my shoulder, I can tell I've been getting older, drawn to you like the horizon. I'm the first one to break the silence. I can tell I've been getting, I can tell, I can tell I've been getting, I can tell.
Is that great?
Like, if I was writing a review of this song, I would say this is what the replicants in Blade Runner listen to when they have a chance to kick back. It's poppy, but it's also, kind of spacey at the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of that weird dream pop genre, or like indie pop, or whatever.
Right.
Beach houses, surf pop. I don't know. It's certainly pop in the core.
I'm way more open to music right now, I think, because of everything that's going on with the world. Music has been very soothing for me. It's like soap on my hands. Mm-hmm. All right, let's see where Vito is. Vito, what are you listening to right now?
I've been going back, and I've been listening a lot to Childish Gambino's first album, Camp. And there's this song on it, like "Letter Home," that I think it's one of his best. It's one of his best songs he has. Period. I love it. I'm gonna play it for you guys.
Oh, thanks.
You're the only girl that I have ever wanted. Every other girl is trying to be you. My mama says that I should write you letters, but I think you're with other dudes. Take my hand, you'll like it. You don't even have to call. Yes, I've had some alcohol. I'm sorry. Take my hand, you don't even have to call. You're somewhere out there after all. You're all I ever wanted. You're all I ever wanted. You're all I ever wanted.
You know what's interesting about this one, Gail? That's kind of a dream rap thing that you know what I mean?
I think we're going in a very similar spacey place. But you know what I was thinking of? It was making me sad thinking of Vito and his girlfriend not being together during this quarantine time. It made me so sad, and him listening.
That's the only part that made me happy. You know, I always now I don't. You know, Childish Gambino. He's the one on Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Vito. So he's Paper Boy. So here's what I was thinking. You got to get that Paper Boy. Now I feel like listening to that song over and over.
Me too.
By the way, now we're all living like the guys from there. You know what I mean? We're all living in that part of Atlanta. All right, I went organic, and you guys have kind of gone into this kind of a sweeter, dreamlike place. All right, someone just wrote to me, Vito's song sucks. I was open to it, Vito. I was digging.
Yeah, I don't know who said that, but I don't like their opinion, and I think they're trash.
No, we're not being like that. We're just helping people along. We're all helping each other along. Chris Stanley, what is it going to be with you? Fish again? Is that where we're going to? What is his name? The Donut Orchestra. What song is it by them?
I've not been listening to any Fish really, but I have been re-listening to Blood on the Tracks by Bob Dylan, specifically. Specifically, Meet Me in the Morning. I've
all right.
that almost on repeat.
All right, let's check this out. He went like Miguel. He went a little more organic with it all.
Yeah.
Here's the weird thing about. Yeah. Here's the weird thing about this album. I think it's my favorite Dylan album, and it was like 11 or 12 years into his career. You know what I mean? But I love that album, and even Meet Me in the Morning would be like, if you said name off tracks from that album, I would have definitely been more about Tangled Up in Blue, or You're Gonna Make Me Lonesome When You Go, or Shelter from the Storm. I mean, it's such a fucking great album. Tangled Up in Blue is like one of the most famous songs he's ever done.
Like, that's the thing too, is like I almost don't want to say this because it's like a little bit claustrophobic thinking of it, but I've been thinking about music as an outlet, like meditation, or you just kind of get into it and you can feel like you're some place else and some space else. And it was making me think of in Diving Bell and the Butterfly, when he listens to music and he feels like he can be out of his body. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, of course. I love that movie. But it's also this thing of, like, in a weird way, life goes on. You know what I mean? Like, you'll find things. You know? You'll find things all the time. Like me and Vito now have a book club.
Yeah.
And we were talking about letting you guys into it, and then we were like, but do we even like their opinions? No.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
I feel like we would be good in the book club.
I don't know. Maybe you two should start a book club together.
Okay, cool.
This could be about Bob Dylan deep tracks. You know, you
Chris,
just read
right-
the lyrics to them.
Chris, right now I'm reading a book about the women's suffrage movement. Do you want to jump in on that?
Oh shit! I mean, I guess you can try.
Gail, can we pick this up in June? Thank you. Whose line was that? Tommy Johnigan's?
Tommy Johnigan was like maybe one of my most favorite jokes of this quarantine season, and I had retweeted it, so you could probably find it. But it was a headline that said Lena Dunham says she prefers the term body tolerant over body positivity, and Tommy tweeted, "We got bigger shit to worry about right now. Tell us again in June."
Really, you know
so
what? No one
funny.
cares how fat anyone is. I got to agree with Tommy then. Can we also say this? Tommy Johnigan is a fucking national treasure.
It's true.
And he's been quarantining with those kids of his anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's so great. Ba, 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 ba. I kind of liked everybody's songs, even though there was some blowback against Vito. I'm going to disagree. I thought it was good.
I thought it was good, but maybe just like you said, maybe I have more of an open mind right now.
Yeah. I'll also say this. I'm going to go listen to Blood on Tracks, but not only that, I think I'm going to do Desire as well. The next album that came out, the one that has ISIS on it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going, I'm in now. I'm into 70s Dylan. I think he was unfucking believable. 80s Dylan? No, thank you. Let Earl go run down that path.
I miss Earl.
Yeah, me too. Oh my God, the pictures he's been taking has been unfucking believable.
Yeah, they have been really fantastic, and all of these just really lonely, sad, empty New York shots, all black and white, and so beautiful. I think we're reposting them right on our Instagram.
Some of them we are. I mean, he takes so many that we're not doing all of them. So if you want to follow Earl, make sure you do that, and you'll find a link on all of our stuff. But he was in Union Square last night, which, because of the stand, I'm down Union Square all the time. It's a packed, crazy drum circle party area all the time, and it's quiet as hell. I mean, one thing I have to say about this, people are really following this quarantine thing. I see people in the news bitching about it, but I'm in the busiest city in the world, and nighttime is quiet as shit here. It reminds me of Vanilla Sky sometimes.
Yeah, that's
You know what I mean?
exactly
Places
it.
that you've never seen empty.
Yeah, it's really strange. I think people were struggling with it over the weekend.
Yeah.
Not struggling yet, but just kind of being like, yeah, we'll see where this all goes. And I think that there were people still kind of out and about. But now I think you really see a majority of people, at least in this city, taking it to heart.
Well, I mean, when you close the bars down, you take away some of the temptation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's been helpful.
By the way, I wanted
just
to
saw-
say about... Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
I wanted to say about Earl, I feel like of anyone, he would be most into the album that I suggested by Tennis. That's my guarantee. Because he and I have very similar tastes when it comes to that genre.
I'm going to say out of everyone, he would have picked Chris Stanley's because he loves that era of Dylan. He loves every era of Dylan. But that fucking song, if that guy, we had never heard of Dylan before, and just some guy in 1975 put out that fucking album, you're like, well, this is, the genius of his generation. It's crazy how good that album is. But I'm going to still stick with So Sharp because you can go very, very deep with the Jay Giles Band. And believe me, you need to dance a little bit during these times. You know what I mean? Don't just get on some fucking stair climber. Enjoy your life a little bit. You want to dance like the couples were dancing in Almost Famous, where you're swinging around a champagne bottle and your fucking titties are out. You know what I mean? That's what the quarantine should be like.
Yep.
All right, it is the Bennington show, and Vito tells me that our friend Leslie Coffin, who we haven't talked to in forever, is on hold. Let's go to Leslie.
Hey, Leslie.
Hello, how are you?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I did not pick a good time to move.
Are you in LA now?
Yes, I got my furniture Friday after
Oh my God.
a week of fighting with the moving company, and I went back to work at 3:00, and everybody was just like, "You got to start working from home." And I'm like,
my
"Oh
God.
my God!" I'm like, I don't know anything that's going on around here. I'm brand new to the city. I have nothing, and I don't have a car yet. So
What
I'm
part
sort
of town
like,
do you live in?
Huh?
What part of town do you live in?
I live in Burbank, so fortunately it's pretty quiet. So I'm like
Yeah.
a little bit less nervous about it. But also, like, all my friends are in LA, so I'm like, I haven't had a chance to figure out where things are and where things are to go get things. And I did not pick a good time. And then, of course, when I got home, I realized that the moving company, although I was very grateful that they had moved me in before all this craziness happened, because before I just had an air mattress and nothing else in the apartment, the desk that I was supposed to work from home for, they'd forgotten the legs. So all my stuff is on boxes now.
You know what? I would always, if someone said, who do you think would have the worst quarantine? I would pick Leslie, because she's always had
I am having a totally fine. I have a balcony. I can open the window. I am having a perfectly fine time. I feel bad for the guys that I know in New York, because a lot of people I know have either super small apartments or live with roommates, and I think living with roommates right now would probably start driving me nuts.
Oh, like the kind of people who have 4 or 5 roommates? Yeah, I didn't even think of them.
Yeah, I mean, just because it's like, or I do have some friends who have studio apartments with spouses, and I'm just like, ugh, I think I would start going a little crazy around them. Because the inability to just go into another room and be like, I'm going to be in here for an hour, I think that would probably be pretty tough. So I feel very lucky, but I'm also just sort of like, I don't know where anything is, don't know what to do, have no supplies. So I'm just like, I'm in the apartment for the foreseeable future.
Who you working for in Los Angeles?
Oh, a movie company. I can't really talk about that stuff right now, but
right.
It's totally fine. I just, it was the first time that I'd ever worked from home was during this whole thing, and it was just sort of like, you're just sort of unaware of anything. But I'm, of course, in the same position as everybody else. But I did want to call and just check in. How's everyone doing? I felt bad that you guys are quarantined, but it sounds like, you guys are at least sort of able to talk and communicate. Felt bad that Chris was contaminated, but, and good for Vito, being a trooper and going into the studio like that. That was really good. I hope he and his mom are doing good.
Well, it's great to talk to you. Let's talk movies one day, okay? When you get all settled in,
I know.
we'll give you a call.
I felt so bad. I had tried to come in before I left, and you guys were just getting really busy because I knew that you were going on tour, so it was just kind of tough. And then I left, and now I'm just like, I should have gone in, should have made the time. But yeah, I just wanted to call, check in. I'm sure you guys are getting a lot of other people calling and checking in and just sort of saying thanks for being on the air. You guys are definitely keeping me company right now because, I'm new, don't know, anything that's going on, but you guys are definitely a comfort to listen to on the air.
All right. We're always here for you, my friend. Thanks so much. I like the idea, Gail, that she has a mystery job that she really can't tell us, and it's something in the film business in Burbank.
Oh, I know. Mystery job.
Vito, what are the Burbank studios?
When I went out there, I went to Warner Brothers, and that was the one that was in Burbank that I went to. But I think also Sony was out in Burbank, but I didn't get to go to that one, as we all know.
Oh, yeah, we know. Sorry about that. Burbank is also the old home of the Tonight Show. That's where the Tonight Show used to be, in beautiful downtown Burbank. And it always had this thing that you were like, oh, what a shitty place they are, because he would always like do jokes about how dull it is. And then you get out there and it's like this lovely little picturesque place in the valley. Everyone gives shit to the valley, but then when you're there, you're like, oh, I could fucking live here in a heartbeat. Balcony sounds nice.
I know, it does sound nice. Wait, I have one.
Yeah,
Forgot.
enjoy. Yeah, it does sound nice.
What am I doing in here?
And yours opens. Your balcony overlooks this place that grows all these flowers and stuff. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Hey, none of us have shown any signs of this, but I think a lot of the people that were tested also weren't showing any signs of it. Whose mic is making all that noise, Vito?
That was
Is
Chris.
that yours?
That was Chris. I let
Okay.
him come back in, but
Yeah, hold on to him until we call him, because there's always a lot of ambient noise out of that one. We're trying to figure out all this stuff, but I think it's a little better today, right? And the music sounded good, Vito?
yeah, everything sounds a lot better today.
Yeah. I want Chris to hear this thing. Now, you would have to work in radio to enjoy this, but our buddies from the Comedy Cellar got together last night to kind of do a show, and Bobby Kelly was at the Comedy Cellar. Voss was at his house. Chris DiStefano was at his house. Ari Shafir came in from his house later. This was all, I think, was put on YouTube. And Noam Dworman, who owns the Comedy Cellar, was at his place in Westchester. But, Gail, I'm going to play this for you. It's just the start of their show. And I'll say this. Enjoy the train wreck, because I was laughing like a child at my friend's technical difficulties.
Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
Okay, let me post the link.
Can you see me and hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Here, Rich, we hear you. And we see you.
How come I can't see any of you? Am I supposed to see you?
Hang on, Rich.
What?
Let me just turn you.
speaker
Okay,
down.
everybody. How are we?
Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
All right, here we go. Welcome,
Okay.
everybody.
Post the link.
Welcome, everybody, to
Can you see me and hear me?
Rich, can you stop talking through the intro?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. That's
And we
old.
see you.
How come I-
But I clicked the YouTube link and I don't see anything.
Hang on, Rich. Let me just turn you. Okay, everybody. How are we?
Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
All right, here we
Very
go.
good.
Welcome,
Okay.
everybody.
Post the link.
Well, this is good.
Everybody to
Can you
live.
see me and hear me?
Rich, can you stop talking?
I'm not saying that now. That's
We're hearing everything twice.
But I clicked
This
the
is a
YouTube link and I
this
don't
is
see
a
anything.
debacle. Okay, everybody.
Debacle.
How are we?
Hello.
Welcome, everybody. I can't hear.
This is good.
Okay, we're back.
Hey.
Are we back?
I can
All
hear
right.
you.
Okay.
Okay, let's bring it down. Now, what's funny to me is like this is the way the show started. Like we have these moments before our show starts to find out how everybody's levels are. Can we hear? Are the people at home hearing the same way that we're hearing it in our headphones? And Bobby so much wanted it to be a show and wanted to anchor it. And then within seconds, he's furious with Voss. Furious with him. And then another great part is Bobby just drops his head. You know what I mean? It was almost looked like a boxer who wasn't going to come back out again. So fucking great.
Dude, the best is the moment where you hear Voss saying, "Do you see me? Do you hear me?" And it's like the third time you hear him say it, and then Bobby gets
Yeah.
furious, and then you hear Rich going, "I'm not saying that. It's repeating." It's like on a loop. It's playing over again.
So fucking hilarious.
It's so good, man. It's so. Why is it that your friends' misfortunes always? It's like the funniest thing.
It's the best thing ever, especially when their misfortunes are public embarrassment. You know what I mean? Like, just, oh, how could this be happening? It's always like every comic likes the fact when their friends die. You know what I mean? If their friends have a terrible fucking set, they're in heaven. And I think it's because it's not that it's career ending. You know what I mean? It's just like seeing someone slip on a banana peel.
Yeah, it's like the small the small heartbreaks of life for some reason are the sweetest.
Ba 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 ba. Yeah, that's the best. That's the best. 844 Rock God, 844 Rock God. We're just hanging out with you today. I'm wondering, Gail, I didn't even think of this before, but are we going to do dish? I mean, do we still gossip in a world of Corona?
I think we do dish. I mean, look, there's plenty of stuff to dish about. A lot of it's going to be coronavirus related, sure, but there's stuff to dish, and I feel like we all have nothing but time. And I honestly think if you're not following Kashmir on Instagram, it's a huge loss because he's very entertaining in this time.
Oh my God, he's always entertaining. He's always so funny. He honestly makes me want to drink wine and weirdly gossip about bad TV shows. He's so goddamn funny. I just thought of this for your quarantine mates. Rich Voss or Son of Sam? Who would you rather be stuck quarantined with?
Oh, boy. That is really difficult. There's already so many, like there's a very large middle ground in that Venn diagram between the two of them.
Yeah. I think I got to go Son of Sam because at least, you know, he's got stories that make sense.
And he doesn't repeat himself.
All right. So, by the way, I just saw on, I guess this is Twitter, it's not even up to us whether or not Kashmir is calling in. He says that he has stockpiled celebrity gossip.
Good.
And is ready to go. He said, he writes on here, very excited to have a conversation that's not just with my dogs.
That's so great.
Yeah. Now, some people are also writing that they just listened to the Gurian podcast where he interviewed me. And to me, that's the very beginning of the apocalypse. What I'm going to remember about these days that it was foreshadowed by this very, very uncomfortable Jeffrey Gurian interview. And this is me saying, look, here's a video of me falling down the steps, everybody. Please enjoy.
Honestly, that Gurian interview, it is kind of weird to look back and go, that's what you did with your last days of freedom?
Yeah, that's so funny. I don't think I ever even told you this. So we do this in the old comic strip, which exactly looks like it's 1983 in there. You know what I mean? And I'm fairly sure it's the same carpeting as I was sticking to it. But all these, it's a line of pictures and, Kevin Pollak looking 16. There's, you know what I mean? Like any picture hasn't been updated all these years. So we do that. Jeffrey's, following me out, trying to remind me to plug. And we get outside. It was like the first nice day, you know what I mean? Where I walked outside and go, oh, this is beautiful. And I'm just lighting up a little cigar. And Jeffrey and I are just talking for a second before we go our separate ways. And this gray-haired guy walks up and he goes, hey, how you guys doing? He goes, maybe you would understand this more than any of these young people today, but I used to be the art director for the National Lampoon. And I'm like, oh, that's real cool. And he goes, I got an idea for you. I want to pitch. And we're like, okay. And he goes, let's step inside. I go, I'm not going back into the comic strip. You know, I just really just walked outside. This is really nice. I am now with someone that Gurion is trying to get rid of. This is how weird it is. So I go, well, what's the idea? And he goes, so he starts saying, I'm a realtor now. And he's telling us about this space that he owns and how much it costs. And it's beautiful and all this. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes like this. The idea is to get something out there that's part right, part left. You know what I mean? Like these political shows are different. Why not have something in the middle? Very George Carlin, okay? And he goes like this. And then we put it directly on the iPod. And I'm like, what? He goes, the iPodding, it's blowing up right now, okay? We're going to give them a show from New York that talks about the left and the right in a very George Carlin way. It's still going to be hilarious. And I'm like, who do you got for this? Nobody yet. So you're just going to be putting this on the iPods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think we haven't been putting enough on the iPods, honestly.
Yeah.
He's got a point. I love the idea of a person that Jeffrey's like, we got to shake this guy.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, it was so fucking funny. And he was going, look, do you have a card? I really have to get going. It's cold out here, he's saying to the guy. It's cold. I want to go. Hilarious. The iPods are exploding right now. I'm sure he just meant podcasting, but the fact that the guy comes in with the idea of a podcast, the last fucking person in the world, and then says, let's do it all on the iPod. It was fucking perfect to my weird day. Hey, Meatface is on, Vito just wrote to me, in Utah. Mate, how you doing, buddy?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly.
Yeah, I got a binge watch, quarantine binge watch idea inspired by Ron Bennington. You mentioned Cameron Crowe movies twice already, so I'm going to watch Singles and Almost Famous. What should I watch after that, and everyone else?
Let me. I brought this up not too long ago. I think the second film that he ever wrote was called Wildlife, and it's a very weird fucking thing that kind of showed where he was going to go later. You know what I mean? It kind of shown what he had figured out as he went along. But it's like a teen comedy or almost like a college age comedy or fresh out of college comedy. And I haven't seen it in years, and I want to go back and watch it. What about for you, Gail?
I mean, I think you've got to throw in Fast Times, right?
Fast Times is a pretty brilliant piece of work. There's no doubt about that. I did have the opportunity last night to watch California Dreamin', which I was cracking up. And after that, I kind of stuck with that same era and West Coast and watched the first film that Ron Howard ever directed. And this was during the Happy Days era. Now, do any of you guys know this?
I don't think so.
Vito?
No.
Okay, Chris Stanley, do you know this one at all?
I do not, Ron.
It's a very weird little film, and it was done for, I'm trying to think of the guy's name who he used to make these really cheesy exploitation films, and everybody started with him. Scorsese, Coppola, Jack Nicholson. When they were all young, they would work for this guy and then move on and do other things. But the name of the movie was Eat My Dust. And he said that Ron Howard could direct it if he starred in it. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to give you an almost no budget to make a fucking Motorhead type fucking movie. Just, you know, a guy driving a car fast, running away from the police and all that kind of shit. I think it was about racing on dirt tracks and stuff. But you have to, if you want to direct it, you have to star in it. So, you know, the whole point was to get Opie Cunningham in his, you know, $200,000 film. And it's really funny to think that this guy became one of our most famous directors.
Yeah. Now, and you were able to find this?
Prime has a lot of old movies that are kind of from that age where you know that they would have come out in the drive-ins even pre videotape. You know what I mean? It was be like when you would go to a drive-in, you could see 3 movies for the same price, and you would have a case of beer, half an ounce of pot, and you know maybe a couple of girls, and that's how you would spend the night.
Right. Man, I feel like I have to go and check out some of the. I feel like I don't go to Prime enough. I think I got it because of a couple shows, but I don't think I check out their movies enough.
Well, yeah, I mean the thing about them is, like I said, they have some of these kind of forgotten American films. Where if you go to Netflix, I think they focus a lot on TV. And, you know, international stuff, it's fun, it's good, but it's not the same thing, you know? I just thought of the guy's name, too. Roger Corman. Roger Corman is his name. And I had him on the show once, Gail, before you came in and started working with me. And so there was a documentary done about 5-6 years ago about Roger Corman. And again, he was this guy, he made horror movies, he made, you know, movies with tits in them, you know, kind of teen comedies, surf movies, all that kind of stuff. But Peter Fonda had worked for him, and I mean, the list goes on forever. Jonathan Demme did his first stuff with him, John Sayles, James Cameron did that Piranha movie for him. He would somehow... I mean, he was almost like the open mic night for directors. You know what I mean? You ever notice, like, you could go to some club and there's pictures of, like, great comics there because he would give these people stage time in a very creek in the cave way. And so they did this thing of all these stuff. And there's old Jack Nicholson is sitting on his couch and he's talking about Roger Corman. And in the middle of it, he just burst into tears. He just starts crying hard, thinking about, you know, the way this guy had changed his life. And all I could think is, why don't you throw him some money, Jack? You know what I mean? Would it hurt you to maybe take out $1 or $2?
I just looked it up. It's called Corman's World, Exploits of a Hollywood Rebel.
It's so fucking great. It's such a great thing just to see these guys. I think Scorsese made Boxcar Bertha for him. And, you know, it's just stuff that was almost student films. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was almost. So he did a lot of those, you know, Wild Angels types thing. All this stuff that before Easy Rider, there was about 15 of those films, and they thought that Easy Rider would just be another one. No one thought it would become this, you know, international hit. They basically thought, let's go make this thing, and, you know, we'll put it in grindhouses and drive-ins. And it was fucking crazy. I'll tell you another old movie I watched the other night. It was like Burt Reynolds. Fuck, I can't think of the name of it. And about right before he became a superstar, and it was some sweaty moonshine fucking movie where they're running moonshine, and it is bizarre. And the reason why, this is the Burt Reynolds that Tarantino fell in love with him, you know, just real redneck Burt Reynolds, almost rockabilly Burt Reynolds.
I do like the sound of a sweaty Burt Reynolds movie. That does sound good.
Yeah, and very Okeechobee whiskey. You know what I mean? Like they're in the swamps. They're in the swamps of like Georgia and Florida and shit. It's just really fucking crazy. So yeah, I've had a lot of time not to go back and watch some of these movies that you're like, man, what was that era even like? You know, and you can only do that from the quarantine future that we're all living in now.
Was the movie White Lightning?
That may have been it. I think it was. What year did that come out?
76.
See if yeah, there may have been one where there was like one where they took the character into the next one that might have come out in 77, and I was watching both of them, and I think that one they let Burt Reynolds direct, where he said, look, I'll be in the movie if I can direct it. And it's just, you know, a car crash, fucking ridiculous fat cop thing.
White Lightning came out in 73, and then Gator came out in 76.
Hilarious. That's exactly right. White Lightning into Gator. Fucking so funny.
I just looked it up and I love the name. Gator McCluskey.
Your character's going to be called Gator McCluskey, and, you know, he takes on cops. They're just always outrunning cops in this.
It's so great.
And I don't even understand the idea of White Lightning when you already have legal alcohol. You know what I mean? I can get it during the 1930s. During the 1970s, I'm like, why don't you just go to a package store and pick up a bottle for yourself?
Right.
Gail, I think we should take a break here.
All right, that sounds good. And before we do, Vito, do you want me to do a live read?
Yes.
All right, that sounds good to me. One of my favorite ways of killing time right now is online shopping, because it's one of the few things that hasn't been canceled, which is why you should go to Rothys.com/Bennington to check out their shoes and bags, because while we're being socially conscious and staying home, they're being environmentally conscious. They're sustainable shoes and bags made for life on the go, but also life indoors. They're carefully crafted with eco-friendly materials like repurposed plastic water bottles and marine plastic. Rothys has kept 50 million single-use plastic bottles out of landfills to date, which is incredible. The shoes are super comfortable. Right now, it's honestly my favorite pair of shoes, because not only was I wearing them before quarantine life, I'm still wearing them because they're that level comfortable. There's zero break-in period. They have this seamless knit design, plenty of styles to choose from, and they're always launching new styles. Rothys shoes are the perfect pair for any adventure. Plus, Rothys always comes with free shipping and free returns. But the best is they're also fully machine washable. And we're all about keeping it clean these days. Rothys owns and operates their own manufacturing workshop where they prioritize sustainability every step of the way. Plus, all Rothys ship directly in the box, so there's no unnecessary packaging. Check out all the amazing shoes and bags that are available right now at Rothys.com/Bennington. That's Rothys, ROTHYS.com/BENNINGTON. Comfort, style, and sustainability meet to create your new favorites. Head to Rothys.com/Bennington today.
Faction Talk 103, it's the Bennington Show! Bennington is back, and this is Faction Talk 103. It's the Bennington Show.
Is that cashmere?
serve the dish, the mighty dish. Serve the dish, the mighty dish. I serve the dish.
It's Cashmere.
Hello. Hello from the other side.
This Dish segment is presented to you by Dish. Tuned in to you. Call 844-CALL-DISH. And, of course, our host of Dish, Cashmere, is joining us on Social Distance Radio on Bennington. You can listen to Not Another True Crime podcast on Betches Media every Monday, and check out the iBang tonight for his new column, Social Distancing Dispatches, where Cashmere will be checking in with comedians and see how they're handling their time in isolation.
Oh, great idea.
It's a crazy time. Yeah, I have no clue what's going on, but I guess we're just rolling through.
Now, who's the first comedian that you're doing?
The first one I did was Casey Balsham, who, because obviously I know her from the podcast, and I feel like I was very curious about how an engaged couple was handling this, so I had her answer a few questions, and it was a fun time.
I didn't know that I for some reason thought that they were married. They're engaged?
Well, yeah, they've been dating for like 5 or 6 years, so I think in her head she was like, why haven't we been married yet? But now
Yes.
finally, well, the engagement has happened, but the wedding, like everything else, is up in the air right now, of course.
Yeah, I can't make it.
No.
I'll just send some hand sanitizer.
Honestly, I think that is the new it's the new gift card that we all need.
Yeah, that's real currency now.
It's like gold.
I feel like I see everyone walking around with like wet wipes instead of wallets, and I get it. I'm one of them too. It's a weird time.
Is this even a time for gossip?
I mean, I think it's one of those things that it carries you through. And because I don't know if I feel like everyone else is in the same boat too. I read 800 articles about coronavirus, and they all say kind of different things. And I'm just I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So then I just go find out what Amanda Bynes is up to. So, like, relax.
What's happening with Amanda?
So Amanda I don't know if this is a sign of hope or a sign of the apocalypse. She's now pregnant with a child. Her and her fiance announced it over social media, but then deleted it, so people are confused if they're teasing it or if it's really happening.
Now, she's the one everybody was concerned about just leading up to before we had real problems like coronavirus. Everybody was like, "Is Amanda Bynes okay?"
This is what TMZ is reporting, that they could take the baby away from her because she's been through all this stuff and she's kind of not even in charge of her own life. She has a conservatorship, so they might come in at the last second and just scoop that baby away.
Oh no, that's so sad.
Life in the future.
Because she's one of those people like Britney Spears, like her parents got to make the calls for her, but it's like, is what happens when there's a kid involved with it. Because Britney had her kids before legal stuff came into work with her parents, so I don't know what's going to happen with someone mid-pregnancy having it go down.
She'll be holding that baby out of the window like Michael Jackson used to do.
Hopefully 6 feet apart from someone. That's what we need.
Yeah, smart.
That's the main thing, yeah.
Keep your distance.
Keep your distance. I know. Whenever I feel like now everyone is doing daily walks to feel kind of normal, and whenever I see someone, I now, instead of smiling, we both just glare at each other to be like, "You stay the fuck away from me."
Stay away.
Yeah, I know. I walk because now I have the 2 chihuahuas on me, so they're really now my only companions through all of this.
Oh my god.
Now, Cashmere,
I'm full Grey Gardens.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you back then with your mom? Are you in Jersey? What's going on?
Yeah. So the second that I got the go ahead, they're like, we're gonna have everyone work from home for a little bit. I was like, because I have in Brooklyn, I have 3 roommates, a large dog, and like a fridge that wouldn't fit everything. So I was like, I'm gonna really step back and kind of just like be in Jersey, and I was just gonna be for the weekend and be like, oh, maybe things will calm down, and then cut to I could be here until I don't even know when.
I think it's sweet how many people are going home to their parents. I saw that Nikki Glazer was doing that, and it's just like a first instinct. You know what I mean? Like, I better be near my mom.
Yeah.
I know
That
it's
is
one of
really
those things
sweet.
that you just were kind of like, because no one has really experienced something as confusing and traumatic as this, because it's sort of a continuation thing. We'll be like, oh my God, I just want to be like near, like close to a home and relaxed. And it was one of those things I was like, oh, I need to be in Jersey. I feel like.
I'd be at my mom's, but she doesn't have Wi-Fi.
I mean,
Yeah, that's
can't-
not okay.
You can't even get it there. It's literally impossible, like it was 1997.
Oh, and well, speaking of impossible, Oprah is also saying that the reports about her being arrested for sex trafficking, because that's a real thing that I woke up to today, were impossible and that they're fake. Which, I mean, I feel like we needed this light of insanity to kind of get our blood pumping in the morning.
I did not see this. So there was even a thought that she was sex trafficking?
They
So,
literally said
yeah.
she had tunnels.
Oh, God.
Because people, her Florida state, like it was rumored that it was being raided by law enforcement because she had this entire other life going on, that she had a Boca Raton sex string going on with teenagers and adults. And she said, I'm being trolled. This is hate. It's not true. All she's doing is sanitizing and self-distancing.
It all started with that QAnon group that claims that they have somebody in the White House or something, whatever that crazy story is. Chris Stanley's big into this. But supposedly they always say they have government. And they're the ones, I think, that started the pizza parlor where somebody actually showed up at a pizza parlor with a gun.
Yeah, Pizzagate, which I was just about to call Pizza Rat, by the way. It all just bled in together. I think it was Pizza Rat.
It's also a funny thing, too, because now it's even at the time, like, everything is so insane. People are just like, oh, I don't have the time to worry about Oprah sex trafficking. I just need to make sure I have Clorox wipes. Like, I don't care.
I know. I would even be mad at Homeland Security if that's what they were focusing on. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
who gives a shit?
Right.
And then we have Amber Heard is still kind of because she's been in the headline so much with Johnny Depp going on, and now people are starting to defend him. She said that she's admitted to smashing a door onto Johnny Depp's head in the latest of a series of leaked recordings that is kind of like showing us a new layers of their domestic violence they've had as a couple.
It's total
Honestly,
barfly.
Yeah, I just think, at the time, we were all in judgment of them as a couple. But this could be any of us within a couple weeks. Wino forever.
I know, that's what I'm loving. People are like wondering, like, what's worse, being truly isolated by yourself or isolated with the person that you love, but you usually only see like 5 hours a day.
Right.
Just now it's your truly your right hand.
The Amber Heard is interesting to me because she's unbelievably beautiful. I mean, it's just ridiculously beautiful. She became a movie star. She married a movie star. They're rich and famous, and they both live like white trash. You know what I mean? They both could be living in the Okeechobee swamps.
I know they very much confuse me, and then also I'm always confused too because I'm like, are courts still happening now? I thought everything was just like down for the count because I have a friend who was on grand jury duty. I don't know if I get arrested for saying this, but it's all on hold. Like they're not even processing any of that anymore either.
I will tell you this. Grand jury got me prepared for quarantine. That's how fucking terrible it is.
I just hope that they're just going, a lot of these parking violations, possession of marijuana, none of this seems like it really matters right now. Let's throw this shit out.
You ran a red light. Let's just exhale and stay. Yeah, let's not deal with it. And another thing happened. I feel like it's sort of the running issue with the tests for coronavirus. It's that only celebrities are getting them, which I mean is not totally shocking, but some of them like Idris Elba just confirmed that he had it, but he got tested despite not showing any symptoms for it, and also he told us that he's he doesn't experience any of them, but he just is carrying it, and he's claiming that Justin Trudeau's wife infected him because they had a meeting a little bit ago.
Oh, wow, that's the celeb connection there.
Yeah.
Now,
it's all going back to Canadian government.
Now, this is what I'm wondering. We were trying to figure this out yesterday. Is Idris Elba in the UK right now? Is he in England or is he in the US right now? Because that's what had us wondering, how did he get tested? Because it doesn't seem like anyone in the US can get a test if they don't, if they're non-symptomatic.
I know, that's the weird. Well, I saw that Kris Jenner I'm pretty sure Idris, I want to say he's in the UK right now. But Kris Jenner got tested just because she was at a party and someone had it and she didn't have it. And everyone was sort of like, you can't just, people are actually going to the hospital for this. You can't just phone a friend somehow and get these tests for you if you're not suffering from it. Just quarantine like everybody else is doing.
And yet it seems like celebrities can't. Like, it just feels like somehow celebrities are getting tests.
But I guess nothing can be done. Yeah, nothing can be done, I guess, until you become sick and then they, do whatever they do with you at the hospital. But it's not like you can start on medication if you have it. You know what I mean?
Right. But the thing would be, if somebody is a carrier of it, even if they don't have symptoms, that person shouldn't even be going to the grocery store with their, you know what I mean? Like, they should be on super quarantine. So that would be the reason some of the other countries were testing so well. But I think it was a Morgan Murphy tweet where she said, what qualifies you to be able to get a test? Because right now it seems like you just submit your IMDb page.
That's really funny. I literally love that woman.
Yeah, me too. I'm crazy about her. And she's
I watched her stand-up special this weekend, just her one from 2013, just because I was truly putting on everything. I was like, oh, this is still so good. I love it so much.
So good.
She's
and
great.
She's such a good person to follow right now because I feel like all her coronavirus tweets have been super funny.
I know. I think that's the one everyone just banding together, hiding on social media from the outdoors. It's what's sort of keeping everything slightly together.
Yeah.
But who had an issue on Instagram? Did we hear about Vanessa Hudgens?
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. The Hudge.
It's so...
Yeah.
That was so ridiculous.
So bad. And I just feel it's like a moment of silence for her publicist and manager because they're probably on lockdown teaching their, pre-K child math, and then they had to get a phone buzz saying, your client Vanessa Hudgens just said coronavirus is a virus that she respects, and yeah, people die, but it's inevitable. How do people think?
The best is, so she puts this out, and was this an Instagram live kind of thing?
Yeah.
So she puts it out, she starts to say crazy things, in which I guess her beef was that she can't go to Coachella. And she's upset about it. And she's pretty much that's what old people do. They die. Who cares? She's just making it it's not a big deal. And then all of a sudden she smirks and she's like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. It's no, bitch. This was a bad call.
Let me just defend her in one way. That she had already purchased her tickets. So I get it completely.
Sure, I get the frustration. There is another thing to defend her on. Her hair looked great. It was very curly and cute. And you normally don't see it that way. It was very cute.
Very natural and fresh, yeah. Well, and everyone's laughing too because she was doing that at the same time. Ashley Tisdale, who she starred in High School Musical with, was truly on TikTok teaching kids the choreography from High School Musical to have a hobby to do at a home. And everyone was and she played the villain. Times have changed.
Hey, by the way, make sure I get a link to that. I really want to start and practice some steps.
I mean, honestly, it's at the point 3 more days I'm gonna I'm gonna be taking ballet because right now I've been waking up and doing Zumba on demand just to kind of get my heartbeat pumping and to distract myself from reality. But I think I need to move up to some more serious dancing.
Well, I'm up all night if you ever want to call me, and we'll just dish at 2,
We'll just-
3, 4
yeah.
o'clock in the morning.
I know it's the weird. It's also the funny thing too. I feel like no one knows what day or time it is ever. So I'm just like, I don't even know what I eat, when, where, when I should be showering, what clothes to wear. I did start to make myself a little daily schedule, like I'm in summer camp, so I can structure my days a bit.
Yeah, I saw people had kind of were passing around this one for, parents, like here's this like color coded schedule of activities and keeping your kid on schedule. Yeah, that shit is not, it's not working out. It's not great. I could hear Juju is playing in the other room, and normally she naps at noon, and she has not gone down. I don't know what she's up to.
Bobby Kelly was talking about how he can't stand, now it's too much time with his kid. And I'm like, well, now let's all just think about teachers that have 30 fucking kids all day.
Good point.
How much money should they be getting paid?
A ridiculous amount.
I know, it's
crazy.
terrible what they do.
I think about too is like cleaning up after a toddler, and the teachers at Juju's daycare clean up after so many toddlers all day long.
It's a hard thing too. It's like it's not even their kids. They're like, I guess this is my job, but I don't even like love this child unconditionally. I'm here to try and do my job.
I know, it's just a job to them.
Yeah. And it's so hard too. I feel like I'm barely finding ways to like occupy myself, to like put myself down for like naps and activities. I don't know how parents right now are like, this is the next 2 or so months of my life, teaching kids phonics and also trying to have them like have a structure.
I bought some activity books and flashcards, but then today our lesson was just like, this is how you do laundry.
I mean, that'd be a good bonus. Just like, hey, dude, this is how you clean a bathroom. Come on, girl. If you're home, you're gonna be a valued member of this family and the household. And then who's on the move is Harvey Weinstein. He through all this, he's being transferred from Rikers Island to New York State Prison. We know it was touch and go a little bit for him because he was being taken in and out of the hospital, but he's now going to be at the state prison in Fishkill, New York. It's 60 miles north of New York, and it's sort of an interesting thing, too, because he has all these ailment and health issues, all this traveling around. I feel like people are kind of wondering, and I'm curious. I'm like, well, this is kind of like a slam dunk of how coronavirus can take someone out, too.
Yeah. I've been thinking that because I've heard, there was an article just about that the prison population is really at risk. And I like literally my first thought was just like, oh my God, he's been in and out of that Bellevue since he's been sentenced.
Well, prisons always have a thing where a virus goes through and gets everybody in the prison, or, some kind of cold or diarrhea. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, in that type of thing, it's impossible to do the quarantine stuff.
And at risk of sounding like a Batman villain, perhaps we should just take a look as like, are some of these crimes serious enough to keep these guys in here?
I don't think Harvey's are.
Harvey's in, yeah.
Look at how harmless he is. He's so weak, he can't even walk.
Harvey, he just wheels around. Yeah, he's like, guys, I'm tired of self-quarantining. And then throughout all of this, too, this is one of the ones that's insane, and I don't know how it even is happening. Vacate Co. It's like a spring break planning destination type situation. Still is promoting and still is open to college kids to party. They want to accommodate them. They want them to, they're like, your school's all messed up. Come party a little bit longer. Enjoy. And they're like trying to extend party packages and stuff like that, which I feel like is just, I want to say anyone who signs up for it is an idiot, but I know so many people would probably want to sign up for it. And it's just someone has to shut them down.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's also, it's our year. It's our senior year. When was our year to shine? It's really hard to get around that.
Yeah, I think I think this is another thing that will panic me now and again, is thinking that I could spend all this time, cutting me and my family off from the world, and then other idiots are just out there still passing it around. And it's just like, no, if you just lock down for 2 weeks, like, we could get so much farther ahead of this. Oh, hi, Juju. Juju wants to dish.
Oh, she wants to dish. She's like, I had this that was in the schedule that was passed around on Twitter. It's time to dish. The nap time didn't work, but that time carried through.
Yeah.
And
she didn't feel like taking a nap.
I guess not.
And Polly D, DJ.
By the way, her dad just read it and looked shocked.
A DJ set in the Bahamas.
Is he stuck down there?
I mean, it's supposed. Yeah, I think he's going to be like, because I feel like you're not allowed to travel even with these the STS, like the spring break companies. So I feel like it's going to end up being almost Fire Festival level of, if any of these kids who buy these packages get on the flight, they're going to be there for. It's not going to be spring break anymore. It's going to be like July.
Yeah, it's going to be Lord of the Flies. You're just going to be down there trying to find coconuts to live off of.
And I mean, I guess because there's no, because every TV show is like seems to be shutting down and stuff like that. So I mean, I guess that would be some saving grace if we send some cameras to watch them go through all that. But I mean, it's bizarre. I feel like every single thing that I've looked at online, from a concert to a show to anything, is being canceled, scrapped. Even some musicians are like canceling their album releases because like, we can't promote it. So what's the point of doing it right now?
Yeah, I saw this thing where Fargo had to shut down when they only had 2 episodes left to shoot. And I'm like, I've been looking forward to that. Just show me what you got. I'll try to figure it out in my head after that.
I love they just cut to commercial break at the end. Well, now choose your own adventure. That's almost could be a new trend. Be like, figure out how you want this show to end. A lot of times, writers will fuck it up for the people who want to like listen and enjoy it. So let's have you connect the puzzle pieces.
No.
Sorry, I'm feeding her and I'm delayed to grabbing the mic.
What is she eating?
Breast milk.
That's I guess something that there isn't being pummeled out of Stop and Shop in every grocery store, because truly everything else is so empty. It's insane.
Kashmir, I was just thinking, the fact now that all the celebrity news is only dumb things that they've said online. You know what I mean? Like, we can't even get them outside to bang each other or get drunk and get a DUI.
It's insane, because it's funny. It's one of those things, because we were having like meetings at work being like, oh, what's gonna like, no one's gonna go out, no one's gonna be doing anything. What is there to even write about or cover? And then you find out, oh, every celebrity thinks that they have something to say about coronavirus or new people getting it, or they're just truly, I think it's truly celebrities when they're just like us. I think we're all at the point of self-quarantining, that we're doing shit online. We're being crazy, and now we're just covering them doing that.
Well, I got one for you. This is up on the iBank. I don't know whether you saw this Lady Gaga ass pic, but it's going to get me through a few days of quarantine.
She does her part for the little monsters. I know. Because she's self-quarantining with her new boyfriend that everyone is very attracted to. So I'm sure they're getting by just fine.
He's the backup dancer?
He's like he's one of those people that he's kind of just like a Vineyard Vine Fleece kind of guy. Works for like, he's my favorite thing. He's an entrepreneur, so his new product is dating Lady Gaga, and it's kind of like his ex was the one who wrote that article. Like, my ex is now dating Lady Gaga, so he's not really famous. So I hope he's just living his best life at her $1 million home.
Good for him. Good for him. All right, I'm going to backdoor into this celebrity thing because I think it's amazing, and that's Giselle, right? So just to show you how powerful Giselle is, Tom Brady chose not to go to Los Angeles to play. He's going to play in Tampa because Giselle and the kids are not going with him. and he thought it would be a shorter flight back and forth from Florida than L.A.
Oh, no.
Is that hilarious?
That's so funny to be between spending your time in Los Angeles as a famous football player to be like, all right, I'll go to Florida so I can fly back and forth to Boston. But, I mean, Giselle, the bunch of miles, she has some pull over her.
Yeah, she does. I mean, here's the guy who is considered the greatest of all time, but not at home. Not at home, dude.
Where do they live that she's not moving?
Well, they got a place in New York, I guess close to the fashion headquarters. But he's staying at an extended stay on Del Mabry Boulevard in Tampa.
And sitting down there, be like, hey, should I come back? Should I fly back tonight, Giselle? She's like, no, we're fine. Just stay. He's like, okay.
Yeah, just stay.
I know. I feel like he made everyone. It's also a funny thing too, because I feel like when I was watching the news last night, everyone's like, yeah, Tom Brady left the Patriots, which I feel like on any other time would be a complete sweep of content for a week, and everyone's like, all right, yeah, well, go home. We're locked down now at 8 p.m.
Yeah. News has changed. Anything that's important has changed.
I know. It's so crazy, too, that all the stuff that we built entire, years around, sports, concerts, events, and it's like, oh, yeah, no, we're getting rid of those because we all need to stay alive.
Yes, we're everything that we found was worth living for is out the window.
I know. But the only people having a good... the only thing thriving right now is the Venice canals, because apparently they're the cleanest they've been in 60 years. The pictures are actually very pretty, and I'm like, but who's enjoying? A, when the lockdown stops, they're going to go back to shit, and B, okay, I can't really see them right now, but I'm glad that they're happy.
All we need to do is get humans away from things, and it's pristine.
All the pictures I'm seeing, I'm like, oh my god, the subway is gorgeous.
It's fantastic.
I know.
Yeah.
Those penguins in the zoo?
Dude, when this era is over and everyone comes back out again and it's safe, the entire world could change their name to Studio 54. We are going to be going buck wild, dancing in the streets, having sex. It's going to become a nonstop party.
I was thinking that it was going to be full on Freak Fest last night, too. I feel like the sexual energy, particularly, is going to be wild.
Well, see, that's the thing. Disco took off because Vietnam was over. You know what I mean? And it was such a relief to have that over that people didn't want to talk politics. All they wanted to do was party and have a good time. And, but you wouldn't have had that without the shit that came before it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, 100%.
And I mean, there's nothing to do. I'm trying to work on, I told myself I'm going to get, a prison body out of this, so I'm going to try to just work out a lot and not eat so many carbs, even though the first weekend of this, it was very much like Charlize Theron and Monster, so I'm trying to pivot that to have, kind of a rebirth for when we are all free.
I do like the idea of your hashtag prison bod. Sounds pretty good.
I know. It's a slight silver lining.
I'm sticking with Fat Girl Summer when you see me next.
By the way, Juju fell asleep in my arms, and just now when I laughed, she just fake laughed in her sleep. That was funny.
And she misses school and she misses nap time and everything's all fucked up for her.
She does. And this kid loves other kids so much. So it's made, last night I got super sad thinking about when is the next time that she's going to play with other children.
But she's going to have a great story when this is all done. You know what I mean? Someday she'll be
True.
like, I was in New York for the pandemic.
Yes.
I was a little girl.
I feel like it's also one of those things. I guess it's either it really jumpstarts a good boundary with parents and kids, or it's really going to just take so much back for maybe the kids that are 7 to 9. They're just being all right, I'm with you now 24/7. I guess I won't develop in another way, but then they'll probably snap come September.
Right.
They'll have to lower the drinking age, I guess, just like 15, and be like, you know what, kids, go. You did phonics for a summer straight. Go enjoy yourself. But I mean, also that's the only Corona dish that comes through. It's small doses for it, but that's all I got for you guys this week. We'll see if any more celebrities come out with it, or I would like to see a celebrity buy like 300 of these tests and hand it out somewhere, because obviously there's a black market or an A-list market where all of this is happening that needs to kind of cross into the everyday people.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it. And your new piece starts tonight on the iBang. I think that's pretty cool.
I'm excited. We'll see what some people say.
Check out the iBang tonight for the new column, Social Distancing Dispatches. And Kashmir is going to be checking in with comedians to see how they're handling isolation. Of course, listen to Not Another True Crime podcast on Betches Media every Monday. And this week's Dish segment was presented by Dish, Tuned Into You. Call 1-844-CALL-DISH, Tuned Into You. And Bennington will be right back. Love you, Kashmir.
Love you guys. Stay safe.
See you soon. Peace.
It's the Bennington Show. Bennington is back, and this is Faction Talk 103. It's the Bennington Show.
Bennington is back. We are another day in social distance radio. I am broadcasting from home in Brooklyn. Ronnie B is in Manhattan. Vito is holding it down at Sirius XM Studios. And you can get a hold of us if you need at 844 Rock God.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, why do I live in Manhattan now? You know what I mean? I could be living anywhere doing this job.
Oh, yeah.
I could be out at sea.
Yeah, I was thinking a lot of this would have been easier if I lived on a lake upstate, very far away from other humans. That would have been nice.
I'll tell you this, though, talking with Kashmir, I am going to stay in better touch with people than I normally do, you know, because I was thinking, I know a lot of people who are quarantining alone, you know what I mean? Either because of they're young jitterbugs, or they're older, you know, and then just some people who have kept somewhat of a private life, or I haven't checked. I'm going to check in on people, something I've never done before in my life.
I did a little checking in with some people, like some people that I know live alone. Or just people like I feel like are prone to loneliness. I feel like anyone listening to this, if I called you, I don't think you're lonely. I'm sorry. If I'm painting you as some sort of lonely, sad person. I also value you as a friend. It just suddenly occurred to me. Reach out to a couple sad sacks I know.
Yeah. Well, you've always been a shut-in, so I guess this is easy for you, but I'm here if you need me. I think I'm going to call people that I went to elementary school with. I don't know if you remember me, but I was in Mrs. Highfield's class. I used to sit right behind you.
And you know, of course, I'm keeping in touch. Although I feel like I've spoken least to Earl, so I hope he's doing well today. But I did, I check in on Chris Stanley. I think he's doing okay.
He's never done okay, so really, this isn't hard for him. Earl, somebody wrote this, and they said, if Earl isn't going into work every day, why isn't he, running around doing stuff? Why is he on a subway train? And the fact is, and again, I'm going to say this about Jim McClure. It was a very smart thing. They decided, we want to try to keep this building clean so we can keep it going. So they only have an essential skeleton crew going on.
Right.
So it was their idea to say to Earl, don't come in. He's a part-timer. We don't need, And really, I mean, what benefit would Earl be to Vito today? You know what I mean? And we could say that any day.
Sure.
But it does. I mean, it's weird to me how SiriusXM was ahead of the curve on this. It's bizarre.
Yes.
And then I was watching last night with that Comedy Cellar thing, right? Noam Dworman, who owns the Comedy Cellar, this was like 2 weeks ago, maybe more, 2.5 weeks ago. And he goes, Ron, you're a smart guy. What do you think of this coronavirus thing? And I go, it's going to sweep in and out, probably be nothing, maybe a day or two. That's it. I didn't even know this. He had already made up his mind. He has been in self-sequestered with his family heading into the 2-week mark.
Oh, wow.
He saw it
Wow.
and read it. And, the worriers, they're the ones who, you know what I mean? Like we always say, you worry about most things that don't happen. This one actually did happen.
Yeah. We've always mocked the bunker types. But I think that they feel pretty safe right now.
It seems like the entire country is on board with this, except for Florida. Florida is still doing the spring break thing. And I'll just point this out. Whoops, I don't know what that was, but
My mic.
we haven't.
I'm fine.
Okay. We haven't had a very cold winter. You really don't need this crazy spring break. And it's going to be 77 degrees Friday in New York City. That just occurred to me. I have a very loud air conditioner. I'm going to have to do this show in the heat.
Oh, God.
But we have somebody on the line, Vito's telling me, in Florida to talk about the spring breakers. Who do we have, Vito?
We have Tim from Panama Beach. Tim, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You guys got me? Because I know you're having problems yesterday.
No, we're locked in today. It's going a lot better.
Excellent. Yeah, I live here in Panama City Beach, and I work on ships. So I'll talk about the ships later, and she probably won't like that. But, yeah, we're pretty much at normal, and our local government had an emergency meeting yesterday, and their big thing was, well, there's a fine line between making sure business goes and the health of people. And I was like, holy cow. But that's where we are. It's not like the East Coast, Miami and Tampa, where there's a lot of press and a lot of people with half a brain. Over here, we're still up in the woods. If you come down to Panama City Beach, we're kind of in the middle of nowhere, and known as the Redneck Riviera, and by God, that's what this place is. So we're a little behind the curve on this one, but everybody's here having a great time. I mean, Walmart is just a huge, petri dish of people coming in, touching stuff, and then going out of there. So I just been staying at the house,
Well, here's the thing. No one knows what to do. I mean, you don't want to come off like the mayor in Jaws, but at the same time, it's very hard to tell people, hey, you can't make money. And this is the only time a lot of those bars and hotels and restaurants, they put this money away that they make over spring break for the rest of the year.
Understand that, but the way, and I'm retired military, so I'm used to following orders and so on and so forth with some stuff.
Right.
This one, I know the press is, I'm not saying they're playing it up on purpose, but I think it is being played up a little bit. But in this case, since Wuhan is where the Chinese have their, their biological laboratory where they make their bad things, and that's where it started. That's why I was a little nervous about this one. It's not like it just came out of the middle of nowhere. Wuhan is documented as where their big laboratory is, and I think what happened is something got out, and here we are.
Well, I mean, whether that happened or not, it really doesn't matter much to what our day-to-day is. The day-to-day has to be seen. Now, as far as the media, blowing this out of proportion, the president said that for a while, and now he's completely in the other direction. You know what I mean? And you have you would have to admit, even if you're a conspiracy guy, the last person who would want this to happen is Trump, and he's the one saying now, stay in, fucking, let's ride this thing out. It's a serious situation. I think you could have debated this a week or two ago, and we were, but there seems to be a real consensus that this thing it has to be treated the way that we're treating it. And believe me, I'd be the first one to go, can we just stop this? But you do have to watch Trump on TV now. He's done a 180. And by the way, the Panhandle of Florida is one of my favorite places in the world. I just find it to be stunningly beautiful and laid back and chill. And it reminds me of the way the West Coast of Florida used to be when I was young and went down there first. There's still places to spread out a little bit. So I wish you the best. Stay in touch with us, okay, buddy? So we're, everybody all around the country, whether you're from a small town or a big city, we're all kind of dealing with this thing. And I guess the hope is that if we kind of come together, have this one plan, this will be shorter rather than longer. But it looks like it's going to be difficult no matter what it is. But it also seems like the only way out is through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bitching about it doesn't really help much at all.
The thing that's interesting about this, of everybody coming together, is this is your chance to be a hero by staying home. This isn't like, at that time, all the young men signed up for war. Like, you don't have to do that. You don't even have to volunteer. You just have to stay home. And that's like the funniest thing.
I've signed up to rest. If the way I feel about this, I've been living like a hero since I was a kid. I literally, when I was a kid, my parents would go, why don't you go out? I'm like, what? The only thing that really got me out and doing stuff is when, I was like 13 and I started drinking. I'm like, you know what? This is really better than being home.
Yeah, this is definitely better. Honestly, that and just being able to, connect with people, laugh with people, read people's funny takes, I feel has been kind of uplifting through this. But can I just tell you, honestly, the hardest I laughed this morning, honestly, was I was on a call with Chris and Vito, and we were going over just over today. We were like, okay, is there any technical stuff? Do we need to get anything fixed? And I was like, yeah, and we'll go over some stuff. And then Chris says, yeah, I have something I think could be good. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. What is it? And he goes like this: which animal is the most trustworthy? And then me and Vito, most trustworthy. And then me and Vito at the same time, it's just kind of a pause, and we're like, dog. It's going to be dog. And then there's just a long silence, and Chris goes, yeah, it's probably dog. It was so great.
I mean, he didn't even try to make the case for Bunny, because, Bunny's never really backstabbed anybody.
He's just like, yeah, it's probably dog.
Here's the thing. How are you even trustworthy if you don't understand the concept of trust?
And then he immediately pivots to, okay, fine, what animal's the least trustworthy? And that had me dying.
Shark. I don't trust the shark at all. They can act like they're your friends, but they'll still bite you.
Do we still have Chris with us? Is he always with us?
Yeah, he's always on hold. Chris, can you hear us?
I love it. I love it, Chris.
I can hear you, yes.
This is how you're spending 21 hours a day. This is your This is your creative thought.
This was the funniest.
All right,
shit.
so I don't trust fish. Like I said to Gail, I don't trust fish at all. They are every fish is much less trustworthy than anything on land.
Okay.
Well, I'll say to like I have said to a fish, make sure you don't eat my worms. And then those motherfuckers every single time.
But here's the thing, Chris. How could you sit here and go, oh, I trust a fish less than I trust an alligator? That doesn't make sense.
A fish doesn't breathe air. And I'm going to fucking put that.
Yes, they do. That's what their gills are for. Yeah, but the reason they have that is because they break down the oxygen that's in the water. They can't live without air.
So what I mean is they can't like be topside on planet Earth. Like they can't be
topside. All right, dude, you're not becoming less dumber as you explain this. And first of all, none of this has to do with trust. There is no trust that you're talking about.
All right, as Vito and Gail pointed out to me, I think we can't trust dogs, and they are probably the most trustworthy of animals since they,
Can I just say this? Just your dog. No one else's should you trust.
I'm just saying dogs in general are probably had the most FaceTime with humans at home. So in that sense, you can't trust the dog. And I'm going to cede the point that, yes, dogs are the most trustworthy of animals on the planet.
Chris, could you see this point? This entire concept is stupid. And I don't know how your woman stays with you. I don't know how she just doesn't say, get out.
She's a saint.
This anymore. She is a saint.
We're self-quarantining here, Ron. We're stuck together.
Maybe we should just have her. You know what I mean? Like, we should let you, I don't know what you would do the wash or whatever, and we could have her come up with some ideas for the show. Because you're not trustworthy when it comes to this.
Well, all right. So maybe the trustworthiness of animals wasn't a good idea. I can admit that. Maybe this judge chalked this up to, it wasn't a good one.
Now, here's what I consider actual meanness, right? So, I mean, Chris had this fuck up, but then Gail brings it up on the show. Like, Gail and Vito tell him this is not good enough for the show, and then they bring it up.
Fucked up.
Yeah. There's a cruelty to that.
This is.
I feel like how.
But Chris, this is how I do friendship. Just like Ron laughing at Rich and Bobby.
Gail and Vito are as trustworthy as a fish to me right
now. They're your fish friends. Yeah, you take all your friends and you put them into the different animal things.
By the way, don't forget that just because we're in quarantine now and the world is totally different, I don't forget that your nickname is Fish now.
Oh, that's weird. By the way, I don't remember how Chris's nickname became Fish because only Hoagie Dog still calls him that.
I honestly think it might have been he mispronounced his own name. I think he called himself Fish Stanley.
That sounds about right. It sounds like something I would say. I'll be honest.
And me, I am the untrustworthy Fish Stanley. How about... You've had a lot of nicknames. You mind if we just start and call you Fish Moody and then just move on from there?
I like Fish Booty. That's pretty cool.
I can't tell you. This is very weird because, before all this quarantine stuff happened, I was away from you guys for 2 weeks. I was on the ship and then I was out in L.A., but I didn't really miss everybody because I knew I was coming back. But with this open-ended thing, I'm like, I really miss all the guys,
I I know. It's also the open-ended thing. Like initially could be 2 weeks, then they were like, okay, mid-April. And then every day it gets farther and farther back. I think it's just like if you gave me any date, even if it was a year from now, I could focus on it.
But it's so weird because like when you do go into AA, everybody tells you to, like you count days in the past, but you can't count them in the future. You can only do this one day at a time.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like this whole thing is the best for people who are addicts because they get it. They understand it. You know what I mean? Like, I can only focus on what I can focus on. Here's a weird thing. I brought up Hoagie Dom. As long as I can see pictures of hoagies, I'm okay. I don't even need to eat them.
You know what I found is similar for me? I can, like, watching Great British Bake Off kind of scratches the itch. Like, I don't have to sit there and eat cookies while I watch it. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, and yet you do. That's the interesting thing. You still do. I honestly, I feel like I wish I followed more apps or people online. That's maybe something we could do. Like we were talking about the fact that it's so much fun to watch Kashmir just talking poop. I mean, literally talking poop online. And he's really funny at it. And then a lot of people, if I have to see one more stand-up do act like they're doing their act for their dog, I'm going to hang myself.
Yeah, there are people I feel like on social media that if you follow them, it's like a good distraction through this time.
Yeah.
Like not just people who are only doing stuff related to the quarantine, but I just feel like in general, there's places I go as sanctuaries.
Right. I mean, like, that's why I did the dancing thing, because I was just like, I love this fucking song. Let's face it, I not only sing, I dance as good as I want to. And we got to do this a little bit. You know what I mean? We got to remember to keep that kind of scene going, even if it's just for us. Do you really need to go to a club to fucking kick at the jams, motherfucker? No. Do it.
Yeah, just experience it. Don't dream it, be it.
Oh, I love that saying. Can I steal that?
Yes. Well, I stole it from Rocky Horror. You can steal it from me.
There was a guy years ago doing morning radio, and he used to say, if you're stealing from me, you're stealing it twice. And I'm like, that's nothing to brag about. You know what I mean?
God.
Well, Fish Moody gave us all something to think about, and that's animals that we trust and animals that we don't trust. Boy, your phone is terrible right now, Chris. You were doing great all day. Well, it's not so much as the phone, but like ambient noise gets picked up. That's the last problem that we have. We don't have the echo stuff, but we have the and weirdly, out of all the mics, I think Vito is the worst. He literally turns his mic off when he's not on the air because you could hear everything going on in that room except for his voice.
I know.
But much better today, right, Vito?
Yeah, today's going really well. I'm really happy and proud of everybody.
Oh, that's nice. That's all I wanted to
Vito.
Yeah.
I guess my only note is when Chris just rubbed the mic on his beard. That's what it sounded like.
There's been an Instagram account I've been looking at called Breadface Blog, and it's an Asian lady who has like a pastry or a piece of bread, and then she just shoves her face in the bread, and it's very.
We're not asking for weird kinks.
Yeah, I don't.
You fucking
this
fetish.
Is your porn. Yeah. By the way, I'm on Breadface Blog, of course, right now.
How is it?
Yeah, it's very bizarre.
You loving it?
She's just okay. Right now, it looks like where's the square donut from? Donut plant.
Yeah.
It looks like she's got a donut, and then first she starts to spank it like it's a naughty donut. And now she's just mashing her face into it as hard as she can. It's bizarre.
I just started to look this up. Do you know how many bread face things that there are? Bread face girls. I mean, apparently this is the thing.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So which one is yours, Chris?
Bread Face Blog.
Yeah, this is a fucking kink site.
Yeah, I'm watching one now where she's taken, you know those king cakes. I feel like they're like they have them in Lent and stuff. They're like purple.
They're
and
New
yellow
Orleans
and-
cakes. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's now mashing her face into one of those, a very large king cake. Yeah, this is creepy, Chris. This is very weird.
She must be in Louisiana because I'm looking at her doing beignets.
She's great, right?
Yeah, it's submissive shit, though. That's all it is. Like, you're a bad girl. You stick your face in the bread until you learn to listen to daddy.
You know, I haven't been on here long, but she's focusing a lot on sweetbreads. I'd like to see some savory in here. You know?
Hey, let's not rush it, Gail. You know what I mean? That's going to come along. We got plenty of time for rye, pumpernickel.
I mean, cinnamon roll? Yeah. I mean, I've seen nothing but sweetbreads.
Oh, I'm just watching her now shoving her face into a giant pretzel.
See, man, this is really enjoyable.
No, it isn't enjoyable because you can see how submissive she is. She's like milfy and, beat down by life. I think you're a bad person, Chris, for even bringing this up. But I am thankful that you did. Yeah. I think she's being made to do all of this. I don't even think this is her idea.
Yeah. I think Oprah's behind this.
All right. This one is her. It looks like she's tied, wearing a little teddy, mask over her face, and almost nipples out. So, again, this is just a submissive blog.
Yeah, we didn't say what porn are you into these days.
And by the way, just the thing for this is they're real. She didn't write this. Somebody's doing this to her.
Regardless, it's great content.
Dude, here's one. She's got an unbelievable bubble butt going too. And the guys are just writing fucking stuff to her. Like, can you put your ass in some bread?
What about bread in some ass?
Here she is with her hands over her pussies. Oh my God, Chris.
This is disgusting. But, however, I did just see her mash her face into a butternut squash Danish that looked incredible. Like, where did she get this? She should definitely, at whatever bakery she went to.
I wish Hoagie Don would start putting his face in the hoagies.
He doesn't show his
just
face.
His mouth. He just puts his mouth in the hoagies. And he loves those creamy nubs. I actually do look at his stuff like it's porn. It's crazy. All right. Vito has David in Georgia, and he wants to talk about the traffic.
David from Georgia just dropped.
Oh, okay. So he said that the traffic on I-95 is way backed up from everyone leaving Florida.
Oh, really? Well, people want to get out. Why? Because maybe they want to get out just so everyone to get away from the people who don't care.
Yeah, I guess a lot of them are just finding out about this too. I mean, it's not like a lot of college kids follow the news, you know?
Sure.
And that's why they don't vote. By the way, this whole thing has been bad news for the Bernie bros because, he's behind and he can't campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Any campaigning looks crazy right now.
You can't really do that. And I think just kind of at this point, yes, universal health care certainly looking very sweet right now in this moment. But at the same time, with this, with how far behind he is, I feel like time to call it quits. Make sure you don't get coronavirus. Stay home.
Yeah, I do worry about him too. I'll tell you somebody that weirdly, because I haven't seen him in a long time, but I've been weirdly worried about Regis. I just want
Oh,
Regis
yeah.
to be okay. Yeah.
Because you know what? He's older, but he loves to socialize too.
And yet we haven't seen him in a couple years, really. And this always bothers me. He was the one guy that was Trump's best friend. And I've never once seen him at the White House or Mar-a-Lago. And he was going down to Mar-a-Lago in like 91. You know what I mean? Like he was always buddies with Trump.
He seems like he probably has a very exclusive dinner parties or something. That's my guess.
I hope so. I hope he's okay. Well, you know, I wanted to, maybe we can do this in the future. I just don't want it to be all porn stuff. All right, Vito, why don't you grab some phones for us?
Whitey from Saratoga wanted to talk about something Gail brought up before.
Go ahead, Whitey.
Oh, yeah, Gail was mentioning she wanted to ride this out on a lake in upstate New York. And up here, being close to like Lake George and Saratoga Lake, we're noticing a lot of people from Jersey and from the city coming up here to ride things out.
What are they doing, renting cabins?
Well, a lot of them already have summer houses like on the lake. There's definitely not as many people renting things out. You know, like during track season, sure, there's a ton of home rentals up here, like for the horse racing. But right now, just all the people with summer houses are coming up here.
It makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If I had a summer house, that would definitely be where I headed once I heard that we were all going to have to hunker down.
But it's kind of freaking us out here locally because, you know, it's like the city is, you know, the hotbed for this stuff, you know, and all those people are coming up here, bringing that up here, you know, does have some of us worried.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure if the city is the hotbed for it. I think just more people getting tested because there's nothing that makes me believe. I mean, it's been found in all 50 states. It's just you know, I mean, for all I know, I have it. I've been traveling a lot. I feel great, but it doesn't mean anything until you're tested to find out. And even then, if you get tested, what does that even mean? They don't give you any medicine. It's just like, okay, when you're really sick, let us know if you're sick enough that you can come to our hospital boat.
God, that hospital boat does not look like, that looks like the worst place.
It looks like McHale's Navy at best. I mean, that looks like that thing, they just took it out of mothballs after 50, 60 years. It's weird. If you're ever in Philadelphia, look over and that naval yard is there, right? And there's just all these World War II ships, but they've been sitting there since my entire life. You know what I mean? Like when I was a kid, I was like, wow, look at those ships. They've never moved. You know what I mean? In all these years, they just don't know how to dismantle them and get rid of them. They should have driven them off. Yeah.
It's like the same as just having like a bunch of shit in your garage. They're just like,
It's
we
exactly
don't know what to
right.
do with this.
It's Navy shit left over from World War II. Some of that stuff they just sunk off the coast and made like reefs out of it. You know, they make natural reefs. But I guess once you brought it in and then you didn't take it back out again for a couple of years, it would probably be so expensive to get that son of a bitch moving that they just leave it in the Delaware River, just sitting there. What else has been going on with you, Gail?
Honestly, I think it has just been just figuring out how to, me and my husband both working from home and then having a toddler here. It's just, it's pretty wild. Like across the board, I know everybody is struggling, but talking to people with kids, it is pretty wild.
Yeah, my life is so great. I don't have to any of those concerns. You know what I mean? It's really about movies, walking around naked if I want to. You know what I mean? This is a staycation of all time.
Yeah, the thing that I think is weird is that I'm like, I still feel like really like, why do I still feel so bogged down with housework? Like, I'm here. So shouldn't this be like easier to clean? But it's because we don't leave the space.
Right.
Like we're using everything all the time in here.
And a child is like having a small hurricane. You know what I mean?
Yes. Exactly.
It doesn't stop. It doesn't end. Vito, how's your mom doing with the with staying home?
She still has to work some of these days because her office is still open. But like she's doing pretty good. She won something at Bed Bath & Beyond the other day, so that was like a nice highlight of the week for her.
What did she win?
She won a steamer, like one of those clothes steamers.
Oh, yeah, those are nice.
Yeah, so she went to Bed Bath & Beyond to get paper towels, and then she told me she just really started buddying up with one of the reps there, and they convinced her to enter a contest, and then she got called that she won this clothes steamer. So like she's handling everything pretty well.
Look, for me, my dry cleaning bill has fallen to zero. It's just fucking fantastic. I'm saving so much money on coffee and dry cleaning and cabs. Hey, did you guys see? Go ahead, Gail.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know how yesterday I was saying, I'm still getting dressed as though I'm going to work, but like this is more like second tier or third tier shirts, like shit I wouldn't wear to work. Today I'm literally wearing a tie-dye sweatsuit. Like
pictures, please.
Tie-dye sweatsuit. Like I look like a hype beast right now.
Yeah. Now they're saying that's the worst thing that you could do is like not dress up. Like people from home think that you should dress for work and then just, they're giving that advice. I'm fucking loving this. I'm loving not getting up and getting dressed to go somewhere. I think it's fantastic, and I feel exactly the same. I'm one of those people, I could easily live in a nudist colony and be fine with it. Now, have you guys seen the picture of Naked Cowboy? Even though there's not a lot of people in Times Square, Naked Cowboy is out. I don't know how many years that Naked Cowboy's been there, 25, 30 years, something crazy like that. And I've seen tourists be so excited to run over and give him money to take a picture because they've seen this guy in movies. You know what I mean? He's not the most attractive guy in the world. He almost shouldn't be wearing that. But, he has the face mask on as a little joke. And this is like the fact that he's wearing more cloth on his face than over his cock and balls is it suddenly became interesting to me after all these years. I'm getting it.
The thing about him is like, that there aren't many people that are out in Times Square. So now it's just, now he's really starting to look nuts. Like he's just like, this is what I do every day. I got to come out here. And it's like, no one needs you to do this because he's not making the tips he normally makes.
Yeah, my sister just wrote to me. I never saw you dance like that. I'm like, I'll tell you who has. Valerie Joe, who wrote in, because she remembers, she's from my old neighborhood, and she remembers that we never had a party without Jay Giles playing. And that's up on our Instagram. Send us stuff too. Let's all just try to keep each other entertained as much as we can, because we got to make the best out of this. There's no other way. And this is honestly the best part of my day. I have this, I'm a little worried how I'm going to be reacting on Saturday and Sunday. Maybe just, talking into my phone like an idiot.
Yeah, I think go ahead, sit in front of the mic, just do 3 hours. Why not?
I'll just call Vito up, ask him to hook all you guys up by phone, do a conference call.
Sure.
Vito's been a real hero through this whole thing, hasn't he?
He really, really has. And, honestly, I can't believe that not only is he in there right now, but it's like he's doing phones, he's running the board, he's keeping it all together.
I'm telling you, I got to know this in Hollywood. This kid was made for Hollywood. Yeah. And, of course, Chris Stanley's doing a bang-up job. And Earl Douglas has been shooting this thing. I'm not kidding you. He's got a book in this deal because he's going out and shooting New York City at night in black and white. We've never seen the city this quiet. I mean, if you wanted to do this as a movie, it would have cost you millions and millions of dollars to get Grand Central Station empty at 10 o'clock at night, Union Square empty. I saw a thing too, a Bobby Kelly leaving the village. I don't know, it must have been 9, 10 o'clock at night. And he goes, this might be 4 o'clock in the morning. And you're seeing McDougal with nobody on it. And this is the, kind of party street in New York. If I'm running from one club to the other, I'm always going crazy. Like, what the fuck? I just got a thing from the Stand too. They're putting together some kind of account for all the restaurant workers there, because those guys aren't really covered and stuff like that. I heard Bobby and Rich talking about the fact that they're 1099 people. They can't even go for unemployment. There's a lot of stress out there right now.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a situation. I feel like if you're in a position where you can work from home, you're in a position where you are paid salary or given some sort of paid leave during this time, whatever your circumstance, you might want to think about donating to one of those groups to, think about what you would have paid in tips to servers, let's say, on any given week. If you just took that same money that you would pay and pass it on, it could make a difference.
I've always loved the service people my whole life, and especially since being in the club business, that they're the funnest, sweetest people. I know some people complain about service, but these are people that are trying to make sure people have a night out. And we got to think about some of those, because it's a very big part of our country. You know what I mean? It's a very, very big part of our country. And, I'm certainly hoping that the government pulls together and just does the best job they can do to get us out of this thing as easy and as simply as we can. And obviously, these times are going to end. You know what I mean? You got to focus on that as well. This doesn't go on forever. It's a finite amount of time. If you look at the world and all the bad things that could happen, they end. You know what I mean? If you look at, we had that terrible war with Vietnam. It seemed like the worst thing in the world. People vacation there now, and it's beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, the people are like, the beaches of Vietnam are the best fucking beaches in the world, Yeah. And, at one time that was just filled with like mortar shells and shit. So things do end. Focus on that. Know that. And, carry yourself the best you can during these times. I'm not saying it's not going to get worse before it gets better, but better is on the table. It really is. Gratitude. You got to find a place for gratitude. And think about animals, the most trustworthy, the least trustworthy, Chris has turned me on. I don't trust anything that lives underwater now. What the fuck are they doing down there? Why aren't they topside, as Chris has pointed out?
I don't know. And that's why we should all look at fucking a fish or even a turtle side-eyed.
I'm going to just ask this out of nowhere, Chris. Have you ever come up with a topic that any of us have thought, wow, that's fascinating?
I'm going to guess, going over the last 13 years, the answer is no. I mean, I've brought up a lot of silly shit. I don't know if it's fascinating. I know once I brought up, hey, what do you guys think would happen if everyone's semen turned black overnight? Like, semen was no longer white, but it was actually a black inkish color. What would happen to the world?
We all know race code, and I'm not comfortable with it. I know we have a lot bigger things to worry about. I get it, Tommy Johnigan. I know, but I still think Chris Stanley's avert racism needs to be fought every single part of the way.
By the way, I really prefer girl code to race code. That's just me.
Oh, girl code. I wish we could bring it back. We need it now more than ever. What's up with guys gaslighting us? What is the latest thing? Oh, it's this song "Gaslighter" by the Dixie Chicks, right? And people are now like writing like, "Hey, I know exactly what they mean." I'm like, who doesn't understand gaslighting? Anyone who has ever dated a guy understands that it's hard for us to say we break up with you, so we slowly get annoying until we're impossible to live with, and then you leave us. Like, I'm going to bet without even asking, Chris, have you ever voluntarily left a relationship?
Thinking that's a big no, Ron. I usually am just so bad that I'm kicked to the curb.
And actually, I remember his ex-girlfriend, one of the things she said was she felt he was gaslighting her all the time.
Of course.
It was rough, man.
For her.
Yeah, for her. Well, it was you to think about many annoying things you could do. Vito wants us to go back to the phones. What do you got, Vito?
Dominic from Minnesota had a question for you, Ron.
Okay, sure.
Hey, Ron. Hey, Gail.
Hey.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, Ron? I just wanted to get your thoughts about. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and it's hard to find a meeting around here that there's actual people going to. You know.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing it online, and a lot of people are doing it like FaceTiming and stuff like that. It's just something that has to happen for a little while because, you know, if you think about it, meetings, church services, community stuff that we crave as human beings is all off the table for us right now. So if you get out there online and asking around, because these things run a lot anyway. You probably just weren't aware of it. But you know what? We'll do some research into that and look it up. But I think that's the best thing to do right now. And you got to understand that, you know, a lot of these things take place in the basement of churches, and the churches are shutting down. Java Girl, my little coffee shop, some guys came by and said, could we do some, you know, private things here, you know, just, and keep it small, keep it under 10 people, you know, because a lot of meetings, people will break off and go, we want to just be with the serious people, or we want to be just with the young people. All that stuff, you know, can work. But she can't even do that, technically, you know. So check online, and we'll make sure that we find out if there's like some kind of 800 thing. But I appreciate that question, Dominic.
Okay,
And,
thanks, Ron. Take care.
All right. You can always write to me anytime you want as well, or as they say, slide into the DMs, Gail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what
Got to
the kids
slide
say.
into the DM. All right, we got to wrap this one up today. It is so funny to me how fast the shows go now.
Yeah, why does it go so fast? I feel like we just sat down.
Yeah. I think just because, like a meeting, you need this connection, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why I love being able to do the show and being connected to people who have listened for so many years. I certainly appreciate it. I'm very, very grateful to be able to do this. And I honestly don't know how Jim McClure had the foresight to put this together well before emergency time. Yeah. Did you ever get back to Bob Fonseca about some of this stuff, Vito?
Yeah, I reached out to him. I told him the equipment that you guys have, and then I said if there's any other questions he has to let me know.
I know. I'd love to get him on the show too, just to see how it's going in Austin. I know that I believe they pushed back Moon Tower, and I think to September, and it's going to be like back to back now with Skankfest. So all these things are coming in, but it's really funny, Gail. A lot of people are trying to rebook the Creeps, and I mean, the fact is they're having to rebook months of concerts, music, you know what I mean? Like everything is in play right now, and it's very interesting, and also at this point hard for me to go, yeah,